In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can recreate these conceptual before and after real estate videos that you can use in content you're providing to realtors to help showcase what the potential is with spaces. I'm going to show you exactly how we created what you just saw, all of the prompts that I used to get there, and the models I actually used to make all that as well. And everything is done inside of Higgsfield, who are the sponsor of today's video. So let's look at the problem we're trying to solve here. As someone that shoots photo or video or both for realtors, you walk into a lot of places that are maybe tired, they're old, they're unfinished, and a realtor can see what the potential of that place is. But to try and explain that to a buyer, potential buyer walking in, it's really hard for them to visualize that. Now, virtual staging is something that's been around for a while with stills, but what we're talking about here is for video. With some of the AI tools that are out now, this is a completely new wave of being able to completely change and show conceptually what is possible with spaces. Now, I know AI is a very hot topic right now, and I'm not into some of the ways that it is being used, but for real estate, it's very intentional, and virtual staging has been around for a while. This is just an elevated version of exactly that. So let's jump into Higgsfield and I'll show you a real raw breakdown of how we do everything. So this is what Higgsfield looks like when you first load it up, and there is a lot to play with up here, a lot of different models, but we're only gonna be using a few for what we're doing today with these real estate transformations. The big ones we're gonna be using are Nano Banana Pro for images. We're gonna be touching Kling 3.0 briefly, and then Cinema Studio for most of the video transformations. So let's jump into Nano Banana Pro here. And the way that you navigate this website, the way that you can create things is by clicking on the tool that you want to use. And then it will showcase everything you've done with that tool. So you can see right here some of the things that I have been playing about with here to create some images. Now you might be wondering, why are we using an image model when everything we're going to be creating is videos? Well, you have to start with an image. Everything you saw at the beginning is just from one image there. We take an image, we use Nano Banana Pro to turn it into an after image. So your before image, turn it into an after image using Nano Banana Pro, and then you can create a seamless transition between the two using the different video tools inside Higgsfield. So you can see a lot of what I was able to do inside Nano Banana Pro here, and you're not really able to see the before image here, but if you click on one of these, you're able to actually see up here the prompt, the full prompt that I used, and then the actual before image as well. So if we click on this, that's the before image. That's what it was able to generate. Notice how it kept everything like architecturally sound, and then that's the full prompt inside there that you can use. I'm not going to read it out for you, but it's there. You can copy it if you wanted to try it out yourself. Now, to actually make the video transition, I started playing about with Kling first, and I eventually ended up in Cinema Studio because I find it a little bit better. But I'll show you what we were able to do here with that space first. We're going to go through different spaces so you can see them all. So this one down here is that transformation. So we'll click play and you can see. And you'll notice that there is sound, and sometimes the sound's good and sometimes it's a bit sketchy, but you may need it, you may not. And you'll see up the top here, I don't love the way that this is kind of implemented, but in Cinema Studio it's way better, and we'll get to that in a second. So it shows me the actual prompt that I used. If you click right here, it will actually regenerate the prompt for you right here. And then the model we're using is Kling 3.1, 5 seconds, 16:9, 1080p. You can obviously change this. 1080p will be a bit slower if you use that. And then you can change if you want it to be vertical for vertical content, or 1:1 if you want something you can kind of use for both. You then just add your start frame, you add your end frame, and just generate it. It's as simple as that. Now, when it comes to prompting, you can just try out putting in the prompts yourself, or you can go ahead and use Claude or ChatGPT or Manus, whatever prompting model you use to create the prompt for you. You just say what you want it to do. You then tell it the model that you're going to be using, and you say, ask any questions if you need any clarification from me, and it will spit you out a prompt that is giving you basically the transition for the video. If we go back to Nano Banana Pro here, and I'll show you this one right here, the podcast space. So I wanted to turn this empty attic, you see there, completely unfinished, into a podcast studio. And we were able to do that and turned it into this. And inside Nano Banana Pro, there's all kinds of things you can do as well. You can upscale it, you can enhance it, you can relight it if you wanted to, which is kind of fun. You can play about with the lighting here to change the lighting if you want it to come from maybe from the window there to seem a bit more natural looking. You can create new angles there if you wanted to. There's all different kinds of things you can do there, and then you can just regenerate those if you wanted to. We don't need to do that for this, but if you do, it's there. And then if we go back to video, now that you've seen what is actually possible with that podcast space there, we'll scroll down to the podcast space, and I've got a few versions here. Let's see this one. The sound was actually pretty good for that one. This was the prompt right there, which I will highlight for you if you want to see what it looks like. And yeah, that was how we created that. Very straightforward, very easy to do. I tried to create a variety of scenes here. So if you do commercial properties as well, you might get something like this. So this was, well, I'll show you the before. Let's maybe not go with that one. You'll see as well that when we're generating images inside Nano Banana Pro there, you can create up to 4. So that's why you see so many on here, because I get it to do multiple ones because you never know what it's going to come up with. For example, this one right here, to me, the podcast space doesn't make sense being out in the open like that unless you want like the office vibe in the background, because you're going to get a lot of that noise pollution there. So I actually prefer this one where the podcast is enclosed of a glass kind of office there. But this open concept space right here, I'll show you the before. This is what it looked like before. Notice how the buildings in the background there, it kept everything perfectly. But yeah, this is a great rendering of what is possible inside the space. And then the prompt right here, that is the prompt to transform this empty concrete slab high-rise interior into a fully built out modern tech workspace. And then the video for this one, back to Kling 3.0. I love the little click of the, this one's still playing. I love the little click of the podcast stand at the end here, listen. That, nice little touch. So this was the last one I did in Kling before I moved across to Cinema Studio. I've used Kling for a while now, but I hadn't really played about the Cinema Studio, and this really impressed me with what's possible. So let's go to Cinema Studio, and this is a project I was working on here. Inside the video tab, you can also do images, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Now this is your director's panel, which is inside of Cinema Studio. And it nicely hides there when you're not using it. And you have a lot more control here over what you can actually do. This was a transformation that I did. So for reference, this was the before image. That was the image that I actually shot myself. All of these images I've shot myself through the years. And then this was the final image I got Nano Banana Pro to create for me. In fact, you're probably going to want the prompt for that, aren't you? So let's go back to just show you the Nano Banana Pro prompt to get to this image right here. That's it right there, okay? Scroll down for you to see. That's the whole thing. Maybe I'll create a PDF and I'll put that below for you to have all the prompts just to make it a bit easier instead of me jumping back and forth like this so much. Yes, we will. We'll do that. That'll be down below for you if you want it. So back into Cinema Studio, and this was one of the transformations. Ready? I mean, it came out really good. This was the prompt right here. Create a seamless cinematic architectural transformation from the unfinished basement into the fully renovated modern living space. Now I got this prompt using, I can't remember if it was Manus or ChatGPT, but either way, like I said earlier, you tell it the model that you're using. In this case, I told it I was using Higgsfield Cinema Studio to do the transition. Give me a prompt. Now the reasoning behind you telling it the model that you're going to use is it'll take any knowledge it has in terms of creating prompts using those models and implement it, because different models can have slightly different use cases. Like one model might be better for doing one thing versus another, and it'll know that, and it'll give you a better prompt if you tell it the model you're using. Now it's very easy to create things inside Cinema Studio, and one of the nice things I actually like about Cinema Studio is, let's click on this one and let's recreate. What it'll do then is it'll give you the prompt right here, the whole thing. And let's click these away for a minute. The way we're generating it is with a start frame and an end frame. I love this. This is a lot more user-friendly than using Kling. And you can click on start frame. And this is one of my favorite things. It stores all the images that you've already used, so you don't need to upload everything again each time. So in this case, this was our starting image. we can click on it and it just pulls it back. And then our end image was this one right here. So we don't need to upload things over and over again. If you were doing other things outside of this, you could add an additional reference image, characters and props if you wanted to implement those into this. I don't really see a use for that in real estate, but maybe you do. They would then appear in these blank spaces right here. You can also have camera movement if you would like the camera to move within the space, or if you had a subject and it was moving around the subject, so you can specify that. You can control the speed ramping here, auto, impact, speed up, and it's showing you basically what it's going to do there on the curve, on the line. I just leave it to auto. And I really like that you can specify the duration. You can go from 3 seconds all the way up to 12 seconds, and the credits you're using will reflect that, as you can see just down here. But the nice thing with this is in the prompt, you can specify the amount of time. So with Kling before, I'd find if I told it like 5 seconds, you might only be able to do a 4-second transition, so it doesn't always align. You can literally create a prompt now for a 6-second transition and then tell Higgsfield Cinema Studio that we want it to be 6 seconds, and it'll do that. Along the bottom here, you can do a single shot, a multi-shot auto, or manual. I haven't played about with those yet. Maybe we will in a future video. You can do the aspect ratio, 16:9 or 21:9. You got lots more options there. 1080, 720. General, in terms of the feeling of the video, I just leave it on general, and it's been working great for me. I haven't played about with these other ones yet. Sound is on. And then you can create from 1 up to 4 versions. And obviously, if you use more versions, it's going to use more credits, as it shows you right there. So very easy to just create things. Another transformation, slightly different. I actually really like how these seem a lot more natural. Like you could very easily pop these into a video and they're going to look naturally part of the video. This one was a little bit slower. Look at the lights, how the lights appear. Let it play again. I love how the lights, the backlighting appears here in the, look at that. You could probably tell it to, if you wanted to, get more specific with the prompt. The lights go from the top down because these ones come on before these ones, but when you're more specific with the prompts, you can do things like that. And then I wanted to play about with this other space right here, and I'm not going to show you the whole thing right now, but this was the before image. The person that lived here obviously likes this space, how it is. But for a potential buyer walking in, it's hard for them to see what's possible because they just see everything that's there right now. Like people can't visually see things easily. So we created instead the space that looks like this. So that is a very attainable space inside a basement. Very easy. I love how they actually just put the little desk in here as well. It gave me a few versions of this. So you got built-in cabinets there. You've also got with the shelf there. This is the prompt for that. I already said I'm going to give you the prompts below. I wanted to go 2 methods for this. So I wanted to create more of a realistic looking transformation, and that was one. Then there was another one here, which is good. The prompt just here for you, a bit of a shorter prompt. This was done using Claude actually, and I think this is done the same way. Very, very usable. But I also wanted to experiment with if we went super surreal, like what it's possible, like what it could actually do. So I gave it a slightly different prompt. You may have a use for something like that, depending on the social media content that you make, but I did change the prompt slightly for this, just to make it a bit more surreal, and that's the prompt right there, but again, it will be in the PDF that I link below for you. So if you need to go surreal with these kinds of things, this is another one. He actually darkened the room, then brightened it again, which is kind of fun. Yeah, if you need to go more surreal with these things, you definitely can. Now, as well as video, you can do images, and there's an interesting thing here I haven't played about with, but I'm assuming this will come for video as well. Maybe I'm wrong. But you can actually change the camera. So a Super 35 camera, 70mm, full frame, Cine Digital, 8K. You can change the lens, anamorphic lenses, 70 Cinema Prime. You can change the focal length. You can change the aperture for the images that you're creating. So if you have a stylistic idea of something you want to create in terms of an image, you can do that inside Cinema Studio as well. Now, before we wrap up, I want to talk ethically about using this in the correct way and how you shouldn't be using this. What you're doing as a creator by using some of the tools that we showed you here is helping the realtor to help buyers see what is possible. They can see past the unfinished drywall. They can see past the unfinished basement, the open ceiling still, all the beams they can still see. You're just transforming a space into something that can easily be built. What you shouldn't be doing is changing any of the structural elements of the house, changing the size of the rooms, putting in things that just aren't possible, because doing that is completely misrepresenting what is actually possible. Everything I showed you in this video is very easily done with simple construction. With the way that we built these videos and you actually visually see the room kind of build from what it was before, it's obvious that it is a rendering. It's an AI interpretation of what is possible. What you shouldn't be doing is using the photos of what you actually made in the listing. Don't give those to the realtor. That is not okay. Again, that is misrepresenting the property, and I don't think a realtor would accept those, but if they did, it's not going to go well for anybody. Potential buyer's going to walk into the house, see it's not what they saw online, and no one's going to be happy. It's the same as when you use a lens. It's way too wide for the space and makes everything look unnaturally bigger than it really is. Everything seems fine online until the potential buyer gets to the house and then they see things are not what they seemed online. So just make sure that you're doing this in a transparent way, ethically, so that no one is being led to believe things that aren't actually true. With what you learn now, you can actually start offering this as a service, so hopefully this can help you out. I'm really enjoying playing about with these tools and seeing what's actually possible, so expect more things in the future. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.